My dinghy will run aground, i.e. hit the bottom, if the water is under 75 centimeters deep. The depth of the water in meters at t hours after high tide is given by this equation here. So since we're working in meters, the 75 centimeters we should make into 0.75 meters. Find the interval of time during which my dinghy would run aground. For best results, use your CAS and find the intersection points. So here's the CAS, and let's put in this function. So we've got 2, add 1.5, and we're going to use the cos, and then we're going to have pi. Now rather than using t, I'll use x in here because that's the way the graph works, and 6, and that's our function, and we're interested in when that's 0.75, so let's put 0.75 in this one. So let's plot those, and the graphs come out really nicely for us, but I think perhaps we should change a little bit. For example, we can't have a time of less than 0. So, and we can see here it's saying 12 hours in part B, so I'm going to go as far as 12. And let's have the y minimum at 0, and if we go for y max at 10, that should easily accommodate our graph. And here we go. So we're interested in the time between these 2 points. So analysis, G-solve, and intersection. And the first one's happened at 4.88. So I'm going to call that T1, and that's 4.88. And then the second one is at 7.12. So let's go back to main and do 7.12, take away 4.88. So that is 2.2 seconds. No, the time is in hours, of course. So 2.2 hours. So explain why sine of pi t over 6 or cos of pi t over 6 has a period of 12 hours. So we know the period of the standard sine or cos is 2 pi. So we need a function of the form pi t over a question mark is equal to 2 pi when t equals 12, and pi t over 6 is equal to 2 pi if t equals 12. So therefore the period is 12 hours. In most places, the length of time between successive high tides is not exactly 12 hours. Explain how you could adjust these equations so that the period becomes the following. So 12.5 hours. So following the sort of argument we had over here, we would need pi times 12.5 over a question mark to be equal to 2 pi. Cancel the pi off, and we can see that 12.5 divided by a question mark is equal to 2. So the question mark has to be a half of 12.5. So the question mark would be equal to 6.25. So our equation would become 2 plus 1.5 cos pi t over 6.25. Now, 12 hours and 40 minutes. 40 minutes is 2/3 of an hour. So we'd need pi times 12 and 2/3 over question mark to be equal to 2 pi. Cancel the pi's. And so what we need is 12 and 2/3 over question mark is equal to 2. So the question mark would be 12 and 2/3 divided by 2. So 12 and 2/3, 3 12s are 36 and 2 is 38. So that's going to be 38 over 3 divided by 2, which is 19 over 3. So now our equation is going to be 2 add 1.5 cos pi t divided by 19 over 3. And that looks really untidy with this on the bottom, so the 3 would come up to the top. So 2 plus 1.5 cos 3 pi t over 19. Now remember, the 3 comes to the top because we're dividing by a fraction, so we turn the fraction upside down and then multiply. Now let's just see if that works, because that's not the simplest calculation that we've just done there. So let's go back to graph and table, and we'll adjust this. So this would be 3 pi x over 19, and we're not interested in this one this time, but let's graph, and then let's just adjust this so that it goes to 12 and 2/3. Let's just do that. And the maximum here would be at 3.5. So let's just put on 3.5 here. And graph them both. And that looks very much like it gets there. But we can check still further. Let's take this one off. Graph again. And I'm just going to take the graph out a bit beyond this, say to 13. And let's analysis gsolve and go for a max. And this max here does happen at 12 and 2/3. Now, of course, the process is going to be very similar for this last one. So 25 minutes is actually 5/12 of an hour. So we need pi times 12 and 5/12 over our question mark to be equal to 2 pi. Pi's cancel. And rearranging, we can see the question mark needs to be 12 and 5/12 divided by 2. So 12 times 12 is 144. Add 5 is 149. So 149 over 12 divided by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. So that's going to be 149 over 24. So our function will be 2 plus 1.5 cos pi t divided by 149 over 24. Now once again, dividing by a fraction, turn it upside down and multiply. So that's 2.1.5 cos, and then we'll have 24 pi t over 149. And with such a complicated answer, I think once again that I'd want to check that on my calculator. And so let's just alter this. So that's going to be 24 on the top there, and 149 on the bottom. And let's plot that, and let's go for the maximum, and that's at 12.416 recurring. 416 recurring is 5/12. We can always check that if you weren't sure, but it looks like we've got the right period.